Welcome to Big Ten Coast to Coast. Today we're going to talk about Michigan and what they got going on. They got a new coach, Kyle Whittingham. He's coming in from Utah, built Utah up and kept them, very relevant for quite a few years. It'd be an interesting fit, how he fits in with the Michigan culture and what they've always wanted to do. But I think the biggest thing for their season this year is the development of Bryce Underwood. He's got to take that next step, coming off of a 60.3% completion percentage, 2,428 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. That's not good enough, even with his 392 yards on the ground. That's not good enough to get Michigan where they want to be. If they want to be, in the same caliber as Ohio State, Oregon, and Indiana, and get into that tier that they were under Jim Harbaugh, I think he's going to have to get close to 3,000 yards, passing, get that completion percentage up to like 65, and then probably have 20 something touchdowns, 24 at least, and at the same number of interceptions or less. So he's got to take a bigger step as a passer, which I think is possible with Andrew Marsh coming back. He had a great year last year as a true freshman, 45 receptions, 651 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He's a 6', 190-pound wide receiver. Showed a lot of flashes last year. I think he's going to be great for them this year. I think he can develop really good, especially if Bryce Underwood takes that other step. But I think he could help Bryce's, step in development also. They also brought in a sophomore receiver from Utah as a transfer, J.J. Buchanan. He's 6'3", 225 pounds. He should provide a good big target for Bryce Underwood to throw up jump balls to and things. So he should be really good. Then you also he built some chemistry with Channing Goodwin. He's a junior, 6'1", 185. He only had 12 catches last year for 145 yards, but outside of Andrew Marsh, there really wasn't that much, big production from wide receivers. So that's a positive note. And then they also got this freshman coming in, Salisi Moa. He's, highly touted. He, committed to Utah. They, granted his release for him to go to Michigan and follow Kyle Whittingham, which it'd be interesting to see who really pops out outside of Andrew Marsh in this wide receiving core. They got 3-4 different options. They also got a Jamie French transfer from Texas as a sophomore. So, there's another option that they could have for the passing attack. We know Andrew Marsh is solidified. He's their go-to number 1 guy. But who's going to be that number 2 and who's going to be their number 3 out of these 4 or 5 guys? It'll be interesting to see how it works out. Spring practice might give some indications on who Bryce Underwood's built some chemistry with, but we may not know till like week 3, week 4 of the season next year and things. So running backs wise, they got Jordan Marshall coming back. He had a great year with them last year. And then they brought in a freshman, Savion Hitter. He's a 6 foot, 210 pounds freshman. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. There's a lot of buzz around him saying he's going to be a problem for a lot of people in the Big Ten. He's going to, he's built like what you want every great running back to be built like. 6 foot. He's not that 5'8", 5'9". He's 6 foot, 210 pounds. It'll be interesting to see what he looks like in the spring game when they have him, if he plays, and what they have him do. I don't know fully of his skill set since I'm not, going around the country scouting these guys. I'm just kind of seeing what's going on out here. So, between those two, though, that's a dangerous 2-headed monster that they have to supplement Bryce Underwood's rushing ability. So, I'm thinking they're going to produce really well. Michigan's offense could actually be a problem with Kyle Whittingham because I think he's more offensively minded. You look at what he's done at Utah. Cameron Rising was really good. Granted, he played 6 years over there, but he was really good. They have had a couple of good wide receivers. And then they've been able to put up some points, which, in my opinion, that's been Michigan's biggest downfall over the last couple of years is not being able to put up the points. They got, with Jim Harbaugh, they could put up some points at times, but it was mainly like the running attack. They weren't a great passing attack, which I'm hoping and, wanting to see Kyle Whittingham actually develop Bryce Underwood the way he can be, because he's a great talent, just very, very raw as a passer. But all the talent's there in the world for him to be a Heisman Trophy finalist, Heisman Trophy winner, if he takes this next step. It might be 2 years down the line. It might be his junior year. But it'll be interesting to see what they got going on and what comes out, from the spring game and what we hear throughout the summer. But I think Michigan's going to be tough for anybody that plays them. But, their offense, there's just a lot of question marks. Who's going to be that second and third wide receivers? What's the freshman running back looking like? So, and what's the changes on the offense looking like as a whole with the new coaching staff? So it'll be interesting to see. Thanks for your time.